Good afternoon, everybody. Today I'm going to make a mince and onion pie. My gran used to make me this years ago when we were kids, and she'd do it with crinkle cut chips and mushy peas. Oh, it was to die for. So anyway, I'm going to make my pastry first. So I'm just going to do a normal short crust pastry from my little tea time recipe book. I'm going to make it now because obviously I want to put it in the fridge so it can rest for an hour or two. So I've got 450 grams of plain flour. I've got 100 grams of lard. I've chopped up into bits. And I've got 100 grams of margarine. So I'm just going to rub this together so it makes fine breadcrumbs. And then I'm going to add some cold water and bring it together to make my pastry. So I've got my fine breadcrumbs now, and I'm going to add some cold water and make it into my pastry now. So I'm just going to add a couple of tablespoons just to start me off. And then once I've done this, I'm going to put it in the fridge, wrap it in cling film and put it in the fridge, let it rest for a bit. And then while I do that, I'm going to make my filling. Now I'm just making my own, it's going to be a made up pastry filling, mince pie should I say. And I'll show you how I make my mince, because I like my gravy to have a kick. So I don't just put oxo in it, I put all sorts in it. But I'll show you how I make my mince. Now don't forget, if you make too much pastry, pop it in a bit of cling film or a little bag, freezer bag, and pop it in the freezer. Freezes pretty well, does pastry. Or you can just make something else with it. Sometimes if I've got too much pastry, I put some jam in and make jam tarts. Homemade jam, of course. So once all my pastries come together, I'm going to wrap it in some tin foil. So here's my cling film. So there's my cling film. I'm going to wrap it up, put it in the fridge till I'm ready for my filling. Meat pie. Delicious. So I'm filling my pie with mince and onions. So these are red onions because they've come out of our garden, so that's what I'm using. And I'm gonna just add my mince to the pan. And brown it off. So while my mince is browning, I'm going to make my gravy, what I put in it. So I've got an oxo cube with some hot water, and then I just add bits and pieces. So I've got some brown sauce, I've got some sweet chilli sauce, I've got a bit of oyster sauce, Worcestershire sauce, and some like soy sauce. But to be honest, whatever's in the cupboard or in the fridge, I just squirt it in and put it in. And then I let it obviously cook in my mince. So once my mince is browned off, I'll add my gravy. So now my mince is browned off, I'm going to add my gravy. And then I'm going to let it simmer for about half an hour. Now I've used lean mince steak, so there's not much fat on it. So I don't need to drain the fat off. So I'm going to let that cook for about half an hour. Then I'll fill my pie, and then obviously what gravy's left I can thicken and smother my pie with my gravy. So give that about half an hour to cook. I'm going to build my pie up now so I can put it in the oven. So my pastry's been in the fridge and it's rested. So I've got an old plate and line the bottom obviously with my pastry. And here's my mince. It's obviously gone cold now. I'm just going to line my pie dish. Now don't forget, if you make too much you can always freeze it, which is a good idea if you're on your own. You can make a small pie, freeze the rest, and freeze your pastry. So I'm going to warm the rest of my juice up, obviously, gravy, thicken it. I'm going to serve it up. I'm going to have some sweet potato mash and some vegetables. So I'm going to put my lid on my pie. This is the bit I'm no good at. It's crimping bits together. I just fold it over. But I'll try and make it look a bit decent. It's a finger and thumb, isn't it? Finger and thumb. So I'll cut the edges off. I don't think I'll ever be a Paul Hollywood or a Nadia or a Mary Berry. There we go. So I'm going to put a couple of holes in the top to let the steam out. And then I'm going to brush it with some milk. Should be a beaten egg, but I always think it's a waste. So I'll just use milk. And I'll pop it in the oven for about 30 minutes till it goes golden brown. So there's my meat pie ready for the oven. Ooh, looking forward to this. So there's my pie. Demolished, of course. There it is. I'm having it with a sweet potato, bit of mange too, broccoli, and my gravy. So there's my pie. Go for enjoy this.